Welcome all. This is Sun Transit Gate 18, and I'm going to start sharing Ra's interpretation and breakdown of Gate 18, and then share more insights as I go through. And so with Ra, this is our Sun Gate. This is Plutonic planes, by the way. It's Meten, and this is my weekly Sun Transit Gate. So this is 70% of the neutrinos. This is where the energy is moving and flowing right now. And it's going to be September 27th to October 2nd. And this is a Libra gate. So those born between this time, this is kind of a stern, a strong energy, but it's collective. It's not personal. So I'm going to go over that gate 18, work on what has been spoilt. But essentially, it's the gate of correction, the gate of judgment. And you could see it down here. I'll show you guys on the screen. It's right here, gate 18. It's active. And it's a very active time. You see, we have the manifesting generator gate. So all the projectors, manifestors, and reflectors have energy right now. Got the 3420. The 34 is being activated by the moon. So it won't be for long. It'll be for tomorrow, maybe 7 hours, and that's about it. Unless we get another activation in the 34, the 57. And you can see active over here too is the 1762. So the mind's going to be quick, apprehending, convincing, expressing opinions. And so we got several activations here. But essentially, we're looking at gate 18, which is always looking for the other side. It's looking for joy. Once the correction is made, it can finally have its joy. Once perfection is achieved, it can finally have its peace and joy. And so this is collective, but you'll find that a lot of people with gate 18, they want to just correct everything. Um, reading about, listening about this gate, I have this. This is where a lot of the generational Xers, Generation X has Pluto. And so it's just over and over again. It's just repetitive, just learning to just not identify with one's judgments, just not be so attached to the judgments and castigations. I love to correct, I do, or I hate it. It's one or the other. But I love it when I can just say it, express it, and then let it go. That's when I love it. When I can mock myself and make fun of myself and say, I said that, whatever, that's my correction. It's over now. I'm letting it go. You can let it go. We all can let it go. It was said, it was expressed. It's not personal. It's not a personal channel. And yet the shadow frequency will uphold that. And we'll get to that. But right now, I want to share a little about Ra said. Ra related it to the Oedipus and Electra complex. The Oedipus complex is the son who wants to replace the father. So he commits patricide and kills the father to be with the mother. The Electra complex is matricide. The daughter murders the mother to be with the father. These are loose analogies. This is just psychological archetypes. And Freud created the Oedipus complex, Jung created the Electra complex. Now, Ra relates it to this because he's talking about here the fear of authority, and how our parents represent the first authority. So it represents our first struggle against authority for our own identity. That usually comes at about 14 with the first Saturn. Um, is that Saturn square? I think it's a Saturn square or opposition. And that's at about 14, where, what we call teenagers attempt to establish their identity. Teenagers was a created phrase there's no such thing as teenagers. That's a social term created by the Tavistock Institute, likely, or some sociologist. So what we have here is the vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. So this is a revolutionary gate. This is very powerful. And the Xers with Pluto here are very powerful in this, in their expression. They're their generational expression of protest and standing up for the rights and of others. And Ra, of course, made light of this to give an example of how this channel, this gate and channel, with its seeking and wanting to get to the other side, right? Calling on the other side, the 58, the gate of joy. Here we have on one side the need for perfection, on the other side, once perfection is created, then joy can be had. That's the philosophy anyway. And so Ra talks about this gate in the sense of how people would come up to him and say, Ra, you shouldn't smoke. And he would say, do you mean that for everybody on earth? And they say, well, yeah. And he's like, well, this need to correct, it's a collective experience. It's collective, meaning to say it's not personal. They're not telling Ra to stop smoking, they're saying everybody should stop smoking. Of course, it's Ra's personal choice. So one of the things to recognize about this, and Ra was very clear about this, is it's not personal. It's just not personal. And the shadow frequency holds it as being personal. And we'll get into this. Now, in his succinct way, in general way, Chaitan talks about this gate as the gate of improving, finding remedy. And he talks about dispassionately reevaluating unbalanced systems and interactions and practices and procedures and structures and systems. Mainly systems is what we're looking at. And so judging what works and what doesn't, balancing the scales. After all, it's a Libra gate. And every line adds in a different frequency, obviously. And we're going to go through in these 6 days each frequency, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth lines of this particular I Ching gate, each expressing a different frequency of expression. And the first one actually, gate one, actually expresses a very expresses patriarchal traditions. And the second one expresses more matriarchal traditions. And the third one expresses a break from the past to get to the future. And the fourth is about allowing things to be. And the fifth is about self-correction through awareness and observation and watchfulness. And then the sixth is to go beyond conditioning. And that's why I titled it what I did, which you guys don't see on the screen right now, but which is Self is the Universe. Because this one is being the Buddha, this is to dedicate yourself to universal concerns and spiritual development for all beings, because there's no difference between you and others. Not in the evolutionary sense of what's happening through us. As individuated souls, are we going in the direction we choose? Yes, we're responsible for these bodies. No one else has to live in your body but you. And so the commitment is yours to make to death or life. And as we get deeper into the frequencies expressed that Chaitan and Richard Rudd note, we have judgment, integrity, and perfection. The shadow frequency, of course, is judgment, correction. And so we're talking about what Ra basically broke down, which is, yeah, challenging authority. And how this is, it's a very reactive response. And there's a process that occurs when, we as, again, that term, teenagers, you know, plan and plot and act out our first rebellion. If the parents take it too personally, then the child will create and introject. He will create this reality within him. If the parents have enough space to see and allow the child to not win or anything, but just to have its rebellion without taking it personally, then the child can pull through the experience and not fully personalize that need to react, that need to rebel. Because if it's not resolved then the whole life is, you know, a reaction against judgment, against castigation, because the child personalized it. And this can be very difficult. A lot of adults are stuck in this lower frequency shadow of the gate of judgment. I know I myself wrestle with it because um, as a third line being, there's so much disaster and mistakes and messes, that I want to see perfection once in a while. And, I could become inflexible in my assessments, in my critical nature. But it's in when I'm in my highest frequency that I can laugh at it and go, don't listen to me. Don't let me bully you, right? Don't let me bully you with my judgments, with my correction. It's either correct or it's not. My corrections themselves. And it's usually not correct unless it applies to a system. It's not personal. But it seems personal because, you see someone and, those shoes don't really match with those pants. What are you going to do? Are you going to tell them what to do, as Ra used to say? So be aware of your judging. When you judge, just be aware of it. We all have judgments, we all have assessments. And, perhaps we can recontextualize this expression into something like compassionate discernment. And then express things in a way that's not so personalized, that's more removed. Hey, I just noticed this. Hey, I observed that. So it comes down to, the big problem we have in this life is like, how serious are you going to be? If you're serious about your judgments, I don't mean serious, the son of the sun. I mean serious, and so that's what it is. Like, not to take your judgment so serious. Like, you have judgments. Okay. Don't take it to heart. I mean, I'll take it, and we'll get to the heart because the heart plays in this, and the heart is the healing. The heart is the cure here for this collective assessment, and we'll get to that. But it's just that's what it's about, is like otherwise we're stirring things up, otherwise we're creating negative frequencies, heavy frequencies that we're laying on to others, judgments. This is tough, and people could take it to heart. So we don't want to hold on to our judgments too tightly. Otherwise, our frequency will be read as really low and really stuck. There's also an obsession with this gate, an obsession on details. Usually, like what I would say, I would actually take it back to what Ross said for a moment in terms of the ideas of the Electra complex and the Oedipus complex. And the reason I would do that is because this particular, the meaning of this I Ching gate or I Ching, yeah, I Ching gate in the traditional I Ching is a lot deeper in the sense that it's actually about the bloodline of the mother. And it could be about the father. I mean, depends the line. And, it's all very experiential, but from my observation, this is very much the bloodline and healing of the bloodline. And so when a man or a woman acts with this heavy sword of judgment, usually I would say it's the anima or the animus acting. So in a woman's case, it would be her internalized father, the introject, the animus in her own body, the inner father, the inner male. And if the father was real critical and judgmental, then the female will express her maleness in the same way and be very judgmental and castigating and critical until she can own, that male energy and not feel the need to project it on the males in her life. And the same goes for the male. The male anima, the mother inside of him, if the mother was enmeshing or overly critical, then he will attract that type of, with that introject, he will attract that type of women, those type of women into his life, and then also bring certain expectations to them. So he too, in return, has to own that particular projection in order to, have a balance within himself of the feminine masculine energy and not needing to project that feminine identity out onto someone externally, for them to fulfill that role. And that's a huge issue in relationships. I mean, that's probably the biggest issue and the thing that we all struggle trying to get away from is projecting on others. It's almost hopeless. It's so difficult not to project on the other and allow them to be who they are without coloring them in the projection. Um, Liz Green's work as an astrologer, her work is really excellent in explaining these connections with astrology and Jung, by the way, for those interested. She has a great book on Saturn and a great book on these Jungian concepts I'm not remembering the name of right now, but you could find it. And that would be more psychological astrology. Now, as I was saying, in this particular case of this gate, you'll find a lot of the people with gate 18 that they need to do work on their bloodline. They need to do there's a system that was created not a while back, not far back, called generational ancestral healing, something like that. Anyway, it's an amazing system. I have friends that practice that and it's incredible. I mean, you get a session and the the person working on you, the person who does that healing work, the practitioner will talk to a particular guide in your ancestral lineage, and you'll go through the experiences. She's talking to the guide. You'll feel all that has occurred energetically as you lie down. And then when it's done, she or he'll explain, I think it's mostly women, she'll explain to you what occurred or ask you because you went through it too. You felt it through your body. And it's really incredible work. I mean, maybe it depends on the practitioner, but incredible work. And so what I'm getting at is that this particular gate, like we have to do our best to let go of this attachment to just correction and judgment, because again, it's a collective gate, it's a projector gate, it's not personal. And not let go of it, not judge, but just take it light. Because we have to understand that, it's a mirror world. Judging others is judging ourselves. The best judgers and castigators and those of correction, the best are going to be those who do it to themselves and that are doing it to themselves. And so, you're just mirroring outward the inner conflict. And so, which brings me to the resolve of this. Self is the universe. Maybe like a mantra of sorts to remember that self is the universe. Like that's what it is. So everyone around us represents something within ourselves. There's no getting away from projection. The way we treat others is the way we treat ourselves. Everything outside is a mirror of the inside. And you'll get it. You'll soon get it that even, our parents are helping us to be in this material world, this physical world. And so there's an attachment in this particular gate to materialism, to perfecting the visual world of which we all see. So there's an obsession here with materialism. And so I think it's important to express that. And so the solution, and this was Rudd saying this is pretty brilliant here, is Rudd said the solution is to judge from the heart. I would say to judge from the eye of the heart. This is another way of saying the same thing. I'm just trying to be more clever. From the eye of the heart, the part of the heart that can observe others and observe oneself and not make separation in the sense of that, we're all human. We all are going through this process within us, this chaotic process, this evolutionary process through our bodies. And we all just happen to have a name, and it just happens to be a little different. And another thing that he pointed out was, and this was pretty incredible, and I'm going to take this to the next level, is Richard talked about the mind as an energy field existing in its own plane. So we have these etheric fields, right? We have these layers. We have the mental body, the we have the what do we have? The mental body, the spiritual body, and the astral body, something like that. And these are all layered in our aura. These are all layers. And I think Castaneda expressed this stuff best in the latter book, The Art of Dreaming. And I think this was in The Art of Dreaming or Wheel of Time, where he talked about the mind, that we were given the mind of the flyers. So these are the inorganic beings that play amongst us, all around us. And he said we were given their minds. And we indeed, as we all know, we have crazy minds. The mind does this, the mind says that. The mind goes everywhere in every direction. And we have to do our best to, I like to say, have some type of breathing practice so you can get back in your body and feel the heart and be in the heart and not think about the heart, but be in it by breathing through it consciously. And so, this idea about the mind can never be satisfied. You'll not never read enough books to satisfy the mind. You'll never have enough experiences to satisfy the fantasies that the mind creates. You'll never be able to resolve all the question that the mind brings or answer all the castigations that the mind brings to you. The mind is not ours. Our mind is not our own. And so let the mind say, let it do its thing. Let it say what it wants. And we'll listen to it when our intelligence is moving through it. But for the most part, we're just here for the ride, as Ross said. We're just passengers in vehicles here for the ride. And the magnetic monopole here will bring what it needs to bring to us. And that's what it is. And so let's see if I added anything else to my notes. There's my list of things to do. So just back to my adage that I'm adding to the cover of this video, all judgment is self-judgment. And what does this bring us to? The higher frequencies expressed here after judgment is integrity and perfection. Ironically, perfection, but perfection in a sense that everything is perfect as it is, not in a sense of a action word or, I mean, as a noun, as just as a noun, not as a verb, but as perfection itself. That this experience we're having is perfect in its expression, in its materialistic fulfillment. There's a perfection in its process. And yeah, it seems cyclical. It seems a never-ending process where we're thrown back to the moon, back to the moon, back to incarnate in these bodies. And yet, there's something really perfect about having this experience and being with it and not getting caught up with all the minutia and all the paperwork and all the things we supposedly quote unquote have to do. And it's we're coming to this time right now where it was today, it was the last couple days that it's hit all the news about digital surveillance. It's here, it's here. This channel says, that channel says, it's here, it's here, it's here. What does that mean for us? Does that mean there's a choice before us? What is our collective response to that? This is the channel perfecting. This is the channel where we can judge and actually correct social structures. So, what do we say to that? This attempt to control ultimately everything about our lives. And I think it was called an AI control grid. I think that was what it was called. And so that's, what's our choice here? Do we want to agree to this? Because life, in a sense, is about what we agree to or do not agree to, what we consent to and what we do not consent to. So where do we stand here? The collective gate 18 does look back at the past, but really it's only a gate for the present. It looks back to the past only to clear it up, to recapitulate those energies and to come back to the body, come back to the present. And that's what gate 18 is. It's about the present. It's about what's our decision. Are we committing to this or are we not? The more of us that don't agree with this, the more likelihood that this will not happen. So I share that with all of you as we move through September 27th to October 2nd in a time where we're hearing about this and an offer is being made. It's just an offer. It's just an offer. We can agree or disagree and stand our ground. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate all of you and also for commenting. I really appreciate that. Doing my service here and expressing my voice and my creative interplay of my own mental and body intelligence here. And yeah, let me know if feel free to share whatever in response, anything you guys want to add to this. I always appreciate insights. And here we go for the next 6, 7 days. Coming right up, right off the eclipse. I imagine for most of you this week between the eclipses, September 7th to 21st, was very difficult to really complete much. I myself didn't plan too much, so as not to get stressed out. Very heavy energy, just like moving through molasses, just very sludgy and very challenging. But now we're out of it. Now we're in the Mars-Pluto square, with Mars in Scorpio for the next month, squaring Pluto. Death is apparent. Death's on the world stage. We'll see what occurs. It seems like death is stars on the world stage more as a prop more than anything else. But, that's what it is. Or that's what it seems in the symbolism of the eclipse, which is death of leaders. So I'll leave you guys with that. Take it easy. We're all still feeling the eclipse frequencies, I feel. Just today, things kind of relaxed with the moon going into Sagittarius after Scorpio. And actually, the moon went into, right when the moon went into Scorpio, around then is when the ice shootings occurred. So the moon kind of going planet to planet, taking the energy. And so, okay, you guys, that's it. I'll stop. Thanks for listening and take care.